your Divas division.
Look whose show you're on, sweetie.
I did it, you bitch.
I think every single diva should be lining up and congratulating me and thanking for everything I've done for them.
You're going to find out why I am the boss.
Kamusta mga kontrabida? Welcome to Turning Heel with Troy Gonzalez. I'm your host, yours truly, and we're back with another episode of Who's That Girl? My interview series where I sit down and chat with women in wrestling from all around the world, both inside and outside of the ring. And today's guest is a Filipino-born and raised wrestler currently performing for the Joshi promotion, Ice Ribbon. And I've been very, very fortunate of witnessing her wrestling debut here in the Philippines back in April for FEW Astig, where she had one hell of a match with Nina. So, kontrabidas, handa na ba kayo? Who's that girl? It's Yappy! Hi, Yappy! Konbanwa! How are you doing?
I'm good. Just getting used to being back in Japan after, a fun life in the Philippines for a month.
Right, right. Well, I'm super excited to have you on the show. This is your first time on the Turning Heel podcast, so welcome, welcome. Just in case you forgot, I am Troy. Watashi wa Toroy desu. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu. I hope I said that right. But oh my gosh, we just a few minutes ago, we saw your triple threat match on MWF live streamed on Facebook. So how was it like sort of seeing your stuff, like watching it back with you wrestling in the Philippines? How was that like?
Well, yeah, because Ice Ribbon usually, not yeah, always records the matches. So actually, it's easy for us wrestlers to watch our matches back. But it's been a while since I've done that. Like it's been busy, and also I'm so used to a Japanese audience. I've only ever performed for a Japanese audience, and it was my first time performing for the Filipino audience. And oh my
Right.
god, I don't know, like before I was like so nervous. I was like, oh my god, oh my god. And then the other wrestlers like, but can you boss? You're so much more like experienced than all of us here put together. And I'm like, ano ka ba? This is like a new promotion for me, and it's a new country. And they're like,
Right.
this crowd, man, this crowd. Do not worry about this crowd. So yeah, grabe. Like, wala pa akong ginagawa. Like, nakatayo lang ako doon. They were already cheering so hard. It's like,
Right.
parang ang galing-galing ko ha. It was really an electric crowd. Like, best crowd I've ever worked.
Right, right. And I really wish I could have gone to MWF Republica, but I know everyone in attendance and everyone watching the live stream enjoyed it, including myself. Grabe, hard hitting, si Ate Yapi. So, really, really excited to speak with you today. So, let's jump right into who is Yapi before wrestling. So, I know you've done like a lot of interviews as well as lots of recent interviews with Filipino content creators. And one thing I found out recently was that alumni ka pala ng UP Diliman, which is the college where I'm currently studying right now. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you have a degree in visual comm from Diliman. Anong college to sa
Fine
UP?
arts.
Fine
UP Fine
arts.
Arts. Yes.
I see, I
I
see.
intended
Okay.
to be an artist. Like, it was my dream to like come to Japan and be an artist.
Oh, okay. I see, I see. So tell me, kasi ang alam ko is with the culture of UP students, like the experience of being a UP student in college, it varies per department. Like iba-iba yung kinikwento ng mga tao based on what course they're taking and like what subjects they're taking. So, what are some of your fondest memories as a visual comm student sa UP?
Well, when in my time, because I right now ibang-iba na yung itsura ng UP Fine Arts since I've been there. In my time, it's like the walls were like free for all graffiti zones. And
Oh.
when we're bored, we'll just draw on the walls, draw on the walls, draw on the walls. And of course, like I think this is a universal experience for a UP student though. Like lantern parade, like
Right.
Lantern parade is always like the highlight of my year, especially if you're a freshman, it's your first time na, uy, overnight sa school. And then, you know, nagkatabaho ka ba, umiinom ka lang. And it's like, and I'm like,
Yeah.
it is like we're drinking, drinking, drinking all through the night. Then before I know it, I wake up covered in newspapers and people were already going to school all around me. Fun! College day!
Wow. Well, in my case kasi I'm currently an engineering major so sa Melchor Hall kami which I'm not sure saan
Mhm.
yung fine arts building because I don't think may arts classes pa ako. But
Um, it's so this is UP, let's say, and
okay.
the ikot comes in from here. From what's that? Starts with the letter P. What's that
Oh
area?
gosh. Lord.
Basta this is
Basta yun.
ito yung UP, and then ito
There
papasok,
we
and then
go.
Oblation is here. And then there's a road when you see Oblation, you turn here. Ah, yeah. Okay, wait. Like the camera, no? Ah, yeah. So you
Oh,
turn
okay.
here. Kami, that road before that road to Oblation, yung may tusok, yung may dalawang tusok na ganon.
Okay. Okay, okay. I see,
So,
I see.
sa
Nasa
tusok
kabilang
na
dulo pala kayo
yeah,
ng
so sa tusok na yon, you turn if you're coming from, ano ba yun? Philcoa! Yeah. If you're coming from
There we go.
Philcoa, you turn right. And that is the
Yes,
first
yes.
college you encounter.
Oh, okay. See, this is very embarrassing for me kasi 2 years akong online as a college student sa UP. So this year pa lang ako nag-face to face. So apologies
Really?
everyone for
Oh my
yes,
God.
apologies everyone if hindi ko alam like yung places. Melchor lang talaga alam ko
Oh, yeah.
as an engineering student. Pero sa kabilang dulo pala siya ng
Yeah.
oval from where we are. Interesting.
So
Interesting.
young. Ako naman yung panahon ko, when I enrolled in UP, um, we to sign up for classes, we have to get these like parang cartolina slips, and then we have to fill it
Oh.
up. Like lima sila, and we fill it up. One, yeah,
Oh
each. And then we
God.
have to line up for like 2 hours to get our classes. So
Oh
that's how we
Lord. Well, I see. Ngayon kasi digitalized na. So like we have this thing called
got.
CRS,
I was
computerized
very diverse of that.
registration system.
I was one of the
Oh,
first
okay.
users of CRS. Nung ano
Oh,
pa siya,
wow.
bagong-bago pa and beta pa, and yeah, I'm old, baby.
I love that. So ayun nga, the experience of every UP student varies talaga. Iba-iba. It depends on like what college you attended, depends on what course you took. But yeah, super interesting lang when I found that the alumni ka pala ng UP. So yeah, fun fact and trivia right there for Yappy. But as you said, you do have a degree in visual comm, and I would say this degree launched your pre-wrestling career in becoming an art director. And one of your projects that you mentioned that you worked on featured Ann Curtis. Wow, taray, grabe, Ann Curtis. So for all of those non-Filipino listeners, Ann Curtis is one of the top like leading female actresses here in the Philippines. So fun fact right there, ulit. But tell me like how the experience is as an art director. Like how much creative freedom do you have as a director in terms of having all of these projects? Like, what's the process like?
I mean, I did work for a pretty prominent art advertising agency. So it's like I had a lot of talents who were like big stars. So I had Ann Curtis, I had, oh my god, who's him? Mark Mark. I had a
Mark.
crush on him. What's his name? Mark
Mark.
Nelson. Oh my god. Probably your generation.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Generation doesn't know him. And
I
Bitoy,
see.
and like
Mm.
and Angel Locsin. So I had like big name talents because it's just part of being in an ad agency, and big brands. And so actually it's if you're going to be working in advertising, pretty much your life is going to be advertising, and you're not going to have time to meet people outside of advertising. Like a lot of people go into advertising, marry other people in advertising because they're the only ones who
Okay.
get it. I guess it's like medicine. Like if you're a doctor, you also marry other doctors because your hours are crazy, and anybody outside
Right.
that industry will not understand. So, I think like within my first week, I was like, I made a mistake. I let it slide.
Lord.
I know, but it's like of course my parents love local TV, so it's like they get so excited, like, oh my god, Yappy, that's your commercial, and they'll ask me all these questions about it. I'm like, okay, okay, mom,
Oh, love it.
yeah, but like when you say like creative freedom, oh hell no, it's like make the logo bigger. I think your idea
Mm.
is a little more controversial. Maybe we can change it to this. It's like whatever your idea does, whatever your initial storyboard was, it's gonna be like 50% of it is gonna be changed by the
Mm,
client to their tastes.
I see. I
So
see.
yeah, even then I was like getting burned out. I was like telling my boss, it's like, I don't think I can last in this industry because it's like I don't get to do what I want to do. Like I want to be an artist. And my creative director was like, this is where you can be an artist. Like, no, 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 no. This is where I can be a machine. So
Right.
yeah. Although I mean shooting is fun. When you finally get through the pre-production, you finally go into production, then that's when life becomes fun because all I have to do is sit in a sofa in front of the monitors, and then the production assistants will just keep bringing me snacks all day. It's like now their job
Wow.
director happy, Miss Yappy, do you want some grapes? It's like, Miss
All
Yappy,
right.
chips. Miss Yappy, it's lunchtime, you know. So that, and then, but during when you go into production, you gain like 5 pounds. So because
Oh
we're
Lord.
constantly eating,
I see.
that's the only time
I
it
see.
becomes
I
fun.
see. But now let's talk more about your move to Japan. So you had this career in art directing, and as I mentioned earlier, I know you also worked as an art teacher in China for a few years. So I want to know, like, where did the idea of sort of transitioning careers from the art field to professional wrestling? Because medyo opposite ends of the spectrum siya, right? In terms of career. So like, where did the idea of becoming a pro wrestler come from, and why Japan?
Well, actually, when I was in China, well, okay, I've liked female wrestling since I was a little kid, like 1989, 1987. Those years. My family was a fan of Glow, like Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling.
Oh, okay.
I forgot what it was shown in the local channels, and we would all watch it together. So that was where my love for wrestling came. But then it came and went. I didn't really pursue it. And then when I was in China, one of my I went through a phase where I liked drawing girls fighting, just because the
Mm.
anatomy was fun, the action was fun, and at the time I didn't really enjoy drawing men. I just wanted to draw girls. Girls are so much more fun to draw. And then to research, the anatomy, the positions, and I started like looking at female wrestling again. And then I started watching Joshi wrestling while I was in China. And so that was where my interest in joshi wrestling started, and I would fantasize, I would like design a wrestling costume for myself, and I'd watch like matches
Wow.
like, and like I wonder if I can do that. Yeah, I can be a heel, I can be heel. But it was all fun because at that time, like, I didn't think it was like attainable. Like, first of all, number one, I was all the way in China, and number two, it's like I'm a Filipina, and I didn't think there was any avenue for me to be a wrestler in Japan at all. And then my time in China ended. I stayed there for 3 years, and then this is actually a very embarrassing chapter of my life. I and this is such a Tumblr story.
Ooh.
So I was on Tumblr, and I actually started an online relationship with this other internet artist.
Okay.
And she was on Tumblr, but she was living in another country and I was living in the Philippines. And we were like, how do we get together? How can we be together? And then I couldn't move to where she is. She couldn't move to where we were, to where I was. So we're like, what's our middle ground? Japan.
Ooh, okay.
So we both decided that we would go to Japan. So I actually moved to Japan for love, which is really, really embarrassing because a week after we started living together, we broke up.
Oh.
No, but the decision for us to move together in Japan happened a month into the relationship. So you know what they say about lesbians in U-Hauls.
Right.
What do lesbians bring in a second date? A U-Haul. So that
There we
we
go.
kind of U-Hauled ourselves into that. But
Aw.
yeah, so it's like, 1 month into the relationship, we decided to move to Japan together. 6 months in the making. Then finally we moved to Japan. We break up a month later.
Oh my gosh.
But, I enjoy Japan anyway. So, eventually she
Right.
left, and I stayed. And you know how in Hollywood, if you want to make it in Hollywood, you go to Hollywood as a waitress and you work as a
Right.
waitress. while you wait for your big break. Now in Japan, the equivalent of waitressing in Hollywood in Japan is being an English teacher. So a lot of people enter
Oh.
Japan as English teachers, and that's where they work until they find the job that they actually want to do. Of course, if you go there and you enjoy being an English teacher, there's nothing wrong with that either. I don't want to say that English teachers are lesser. They are not. It's just that it's an easy way to get into Japan. But anyway,
Okay.
so
Okay.
I was an English teacher for a few years, and it was like, it's like, I mean, it's fun. Teaching English is fun, but it's not what I want to name as my career.
Right.
And I was wondering, what should I do with my life? And should I be an artist? And I started actually taking steps to being an artist again. I started buying art materials, started making paintings, and then I met this guy who is a kind of a, for lack of a better word, he's a rock star.
Okay.
He's a rock star and he's from Canada. And I was like, and he also started out as an English teacher. And he was really awesome. I was like, yeah, look at this guy. And he was telling me his story and he really grinded. He really like put himself out there. And he got a band and it's a successful band and it's awesome band. So I'm like, I need to do something. I need to do something with my life. And so at least let's start with a hobby. Let's start with a cool
Right.
hobby. And
Okay.
around that same time, my friend invited me to watch Reina Pro Wrestling. So Reina Pro Wrestling is an old promotion. It was actually like produced by Tajiri, which I just recently found out. He told me, he's like, you don't know, I produced.
Oh wow.
That's where I saw some former Ice Ribbon wrestlers, and I also saw a Filipino wrestler by the name of Cheska, who was wearing this very
Oh.
Darna-esque costume. And I was like, she's Filipino. And my friend is like, he's Japanese, but he's really into Filipino culture. It's like, she speaks Tagalog. After the show, you can come up
Oh.
Tagalog to her. It's like, oh my God, she grew up in the Philippines, just like me, and she's in Japan now, just like me, and she's a freaking wrestler. It's like, that is so
Right.
cool. And that was actually the first thing that like told me that this is possible. I can do this. And then she did a moonsault. I'm like, no, I can't. They're down. No, I can't do that. Nope. My friend told me actually Ice Ribbon has these open lessons for beginners. Like, it can be just a hobby. Like you don't even have to aim to be a
Oh.
professional wrestler. You can just go in and, train with them and, just for fun. And so that's where I went in. I
Okay.
thought, oh, I'm just gonna do it as a hobby. Okay, this is fine, no pressure. Just play around, and I can tell people, yeah, I like to train. I actually train with actual pro wrestlers. Yeah, that's all I wanted. It's really all I wanted. I just wanted to take the lessons and then go back to my life of being an English teacher or being an artist. But then
Right.
eventually the president of Ice Ribbon was like, "You have potential. Do you want to debut?" It's like, "What?"
Ooh.
It's like, "Okay, work hard. Like we're gonna allow you to join the professional training sessions. And if you work hard and if you get into shape, maybe we'll debut you." It's like, okay, let's go.
Laban.
But actually, like it actually took me a year and a half of training to be able to debut.
Oh, okay.
So it
I
was a
see.
year and a half of me only getting 1 day off per 2 months.
Oh wow. From like
Because
all
if I wasn't
training.
yeah, if I wasn't working at my day job, I was training. I was training and then I was learning how to, be staff at their shows. So it was a year and a half of
Okay.
that.
But yeah, I'm really happy to see like, because most Joshi promotions are exclusively sometimes Japanese talent only. But to see you over there, as a Filipina, sort of training in the Japanese wrestling style is really, really fun to see. And when I discovered you, I was like, hold on, she has a Filipino flag on her Twitter name, Twitter handle. I was like, so she Pinay? And she's wrestling in Japan. That is so cool. And so, yeah, that was a really, really, really interesting discovery for me. And yeah, now here you are. You're doing so much amazing things. You just debuted here in the Philippines. But let's sort of talk about Ice Ribbon, the promotion where you trained and are currently working for. So, I feel like recently, especially this year, so much international audiences have sort of diverted their attention as wrestling fans to Japan, since there's so much wrestling going on in Japan as a country. The wrestling scene over there is insane. And so, what I want to ask you, for people like me who are sort of just newer fans and viewers of Ice Ribbon, what would you say makes Ice Ribbon stand out as a promotion?
Ice Ribbon's history, it goes in waves. Like, it depends on the era. So this era of Ice Ribbon and this era of Ice Ribbon. So the current era of Ice Ribbon, um, we're kind of like going through a rebuild right now, because we have a huge chunk of the roster that's starting out like young career. So in Japan, you're considered a career, you're considered a rookie until you finish your third year of your career. So that's
Okay.
rookie period. So a big chunk of our roster right now are rookies. And like I said, we're doing a rebuild. We're rebuilding the top card. We're getting a lot of guests. But then the core of Ice Ribbon, always, what's always been consistent with Ice Ribbon is we have this motto, and it's be happy with pro wrestling. And so it's
Right.
like we like to keep it lighthearted. We like to keep it, you know, um, there's every promotion will have its flavor. Some promotion is all about hardcore fighting, hard hitting, and some promotions are like
Right.
characters, we're like cute girls who can sing and dance, or like this one is like we're all serious fighters. And Ice Ribbon is the thing is, like, they want you to come into the show with a smile, and we want you to leave with an even bigger smile. So it's
Right.
very lighthearted, very easy to digest. We try to keep it kid friendly. We do matinee shows, and we're trying to like attract more children. So yeah, we actually have like a child on our roster. We have a 13-year-old on our roster. She debuted when she
Right.
was 12. So, it's like as much as possible. It's like it's just lighthearted and happy wrestling. And also we also try to keep, the roster as diverse as possible, because we have, yeah, like what you mentioned before, like, some promotions will only take this or that type. A lot of promotions will not take anybody over 25 as a trainee, and I started training when I was 38. So 38, by 38, a lot of wrestlers have already retired. So I
Right.
actually started training past retirement age, and most promotions would not accept me as I am. And also they don't care what your nationality is. And you can be as young or as old. Well, okay, not as young. You have to be at least junior high school. You
All
can't
right.
be
There
40.
you go.
Yeah, so it's like they're the most accepting. So it's like so you see a lot of like people in our roster, like, I guess a lot of people would have this image. A wrestler is looks very glamorous, looks very, it's like, oh, they look like a wrestler. And then sometimes you have people in our roster who looks like a regular person, but then she wrestles, So
Right.
champion, our current champion right now is actually a real estate agent.
Right.
So yeah, that's her day job. She still keeps her day job. In the daytime, she's selling apartments, and when she comes to Ice Ribbon, she's the champion, and she's, sentoning everybody off the top rope. So,
Wow. Way to attract clients with your finishing move.
so
Interesting.
more
Interesting.
diverse backgrounds, more diverse, diverse characters, diverse body types.
Right, right. Really interesting. So yeah, that is something that I really noticed about Ice Ribbon, was that there's just so much different characters, so much, it varies from wrestler to wrestler, like experience levels, age, with all of these differences aside, like all of them come together to sort of make up what Ice Ribbon is. And I feel like that's what makes it such a fun promotion to get into. And I'm super, super excited to sort of like get even more into Ice Ribbon as a promotion. But as I said, I am an international audience, part of that international audience. And as I mentioned earlier, there's so much more newer international fans who are diverting their attention to Japanese wrestling, specifically Joshi wrestling, women's Japanese wrestling. And for Ice Ribbon, you are playing a very integral job in sort of helping bring in those viewers, since you are one of their roster members who do speak fluent English. So I wanted to ask, like, what are your thoughts on this responsibility of yours? Like sort of being this internal ambassador per se, if you would call it that, to bring in
Actually,
international viewers to Ice
that was
Ribbon.
my target from the start, because when I came to Ice Ribbon, nobody spoke English. There were some who knew, who can do light conversation, but like there was really no attention to fans outside Japan. There were like there have always been like hardcore Ice Ribbon fans who have been there from the beginning, and they would like go through hoops and hoops and hoops and hoops just to get Merc. They'd fly to Japan just to be able to watch a show, and all this stuff. And then when I got there, I started my Twitter account. Well, I mean, they found my Twitter account, and I was talking to Ellen. I was engaging with fans as much as possible, and I was trying to explain, what was happening in Ice Ribbon. And then people were like, we really wish we could get Ice Ribbon merchandise, and it's like, I got you. And in the beginning, management didn't really think that there was a viable market outside Japan. They thought that, we'll get like one or two foreigners, and, we can't really dedicate resources to them. And I was like, let me show you. And so I went on Twitter and I said, who wants Ice Ribbon Merc? I'm going to hook you up. And so people would like, email me their orders. They would PayPal me the payment, and I would go to the stock room, and I was like, okay, so they ordered this. And then I would go to the management, here's some money because somebody bought Merc. And now we're going to send this Merc to the US, and I just started.
Right.
And then I did it so much that eventually in 2020, actually at the beginning of COVID, and shows were being shut down, and so we needed to find different revenue streams. That's when the president came to me and he said, let's start an international store, an official one. I was like, hey, my days of selling from my trench coat are over. No more no more black market Ice Ribbon Merc for the Yappy.
Love it. We love
That's also
official stores.
when I quit my day job and became a full-time wrestler because of that.
Oh, okay.
So, I would say I am the international division of Ice Ribbon.
There you go. We love it. Representing Ice Ribbon internationally is Yappy. Super, like, I can imagine like how much of a responsibility is it for, as one of the few people who speak English in Ice Ribbon to sort of, in case there are some foreigners who do come over for shows and need some help with translating or like knowing where to go. I can't help but imagine they're like, where's Yappy? Someone call Yappy. Does that happen a lot?
Yeah, that actually happened in MWF too. It's like they were trying to tell
Ooh.
Tajiri something, and Tajiri's like, call
Ah.
Yappy. And after the MWF show, there was a press conference, and it's like when they had the question for Tajiri, the mic would go to me, and it's like, oh, okay, I guess I'm translating this one. So Tajiri-san, fondest. It's just I just automatically become the translator wherever I go in Japan. So even when I'm guest wrestling in another promotion and they happen to have a foreigner there, it's like, yes, we don't need to use hand gestures. Yappy!
I love that. But yeah, it really is such a big responsibility, and you're doing so much help for Ice Ribbon by doing so, and you're representing the company well, especially when you came here in the Philippines. You are doing amazing. But now I wanna bring up a specific moment, sort of non-wrestling related when it comes to Ice Ribbon, because you mentioned this story in a recent interview of a Christmas party in Ice Ribbon where you were able to meet one of, I would say, the most iconic wrestlers, not just male or female, iconic wrestlers of this entire world and entire industry, Miss Manami Toyota, which I believe she is also somehow very involved in Ice Ribbon. I believe she's called like your supervisor of Ice
She
Ribbon.
was
Am
a
I correct?
supervisor for a while. Like right now, like, life happens and people like, the course of people's life changes. So she's no longer at our supervisor,
Ah,
but she
okay.
was our supervisor for a while when I started. So I got to meet
Oh,
her then. Yeah.
ooh.
And yeah, I guess the story goes, it's like, like back in China, I was watching her matches and I was like, like all I want to be is like, I just want to watch like a Manami Toyota match live because I just want to be in the same building as her and maybe
Right.
buy a portrait and get her autograph and shake her hand. If I could just look at her in person and shake her hand, I would be happy. And then years later enter Iserman, and then I mean, as a rookie, you have to introduce yourself to the senpais. If a senpai
Right.
has to ask who you are, you fucked up. So you
Ooh.
have to go to, yeah. It's like you see a senpai and you know that they don't know you. You have to go up to them and introduce yourself. And so I
Okay.
introduced myself to her. It's like, hi, I'm but of course, the Japanese way. It's like, hi, Satsu Yoroshi desho ka? I say the next say the Yappy de gozaimasu. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu. It's like, I love you so much, but I'm not gonna show it, but I'm showing it, right? Oh my god, I'm so embarrassed. She's actually very sweet. And yeah, so it come like the Christmas party and she happened to sit next to me and she put on a
Wow.
song and she gave me the other mic like, Yappy, let's sing together. I'm like, am I sharing a mic with Manami Toyota?
Oh my
I'm singing
god.
a song with Manami Toyota. All I wanted was her signature. All I wanted was to shake her hand.
Oh my god. And now you have a duet with her. Was this like karaoke
Yes,
or
it's karaoke. Yes, it's karaoke.
ooh. You
Yeah.
got to sing karaoke with Manami Toyota. Oh my god.
It's so funny too, because like at that time when she met me, I was still a baby face. I had the cute bob or whatever, you
Right.
know. And then a year passed, and I shaved the half of my head, and I changed my gear. I had a more heelish gear, and she looked at me. She's like, "Yappy-chan, did you become a heel?" I'm like, "Here it is. Hi, here it is."
Oh my gosh. She sounds so sweet. She really does sound so sweet in real life, but she will ooh, if you've seen her matches, I
She will
mean,
destroy
obviously
you.
everyone has seen her match, she will kill you. And what a career she's had. But yeah, is she sort of like still involved with Ice Ribbon even like from afar? Like does she go to shows from time to time?
Well, I mean, sometimes, yeah, sometimes she show up and just well, she's like, personal friends with Tsukasa Fujimoto, which is her ace. Well, Tsukasa's in hiatus right now, but she's
Oh,
like Ice Ribbon's ace. And she is like she was one of the witnesses to her wedding. So, that's how close the relationship is. And Manami Toyota,
I
she has,
see.
the Japanese Ocean Suplex hold, which is her special finisher. And there are
Right.
only two people in the world who are authorized by her to use that move. So the first one is Iserban's Tsukasa Fujimoto, and the second one is Zero One's Ikuto Hidaka. Those are the only two people in the
Ooh.
world that she has allowed to use that move. So I think it's a usual thing in Japan where you have a special move and you're gonna retire, you will give that move to a kohai. So yeah,
I
so two
see.
people inherited that move.
I see, I see. Really interesting and really, really happy to hear about these stories about Manami, even like post retirement. Of course, she retired. I forgot when she retired, but like one of the
Um,
2010s, I believe. Am I right?
2017.
2017. There we go. So yeah, what a career she's had, and I hope she's doing well for herself right now. And I'm really happy to hear like how she's still somehow involved with wrestling, even just as a casual fan or who knows. If any chance that she can get where people can give her recognition, I hope she knows that everyone all over the world, especially like even in the western side of the world, like in America, people always call back to that Manami Aja Kong or Manami Akira Hokuto matches that she's had in the past. Oh,
She's the
the
goat.
standard. The GOAT, absolutely. So yeah, I'm pretty sure she knows that already, but I hope she knows that even more. But yeah, let's sort of move the conversation over to your wrestling here in the Philippines. So quite recently, you had your Philippine wrestling debut, your first match outside of Japan as well, where you got to debut in FPW as Stig. I was there, you guys. I was in the audience. Yappy faced Nina, and it was a hell of a match. These Filipinos were they were fighting the hell out of each other, and I was cheering in the background. So I wanted to ask you, like, what did it feel like, performing in the Philippines for the first time? Like, how did the culture vary from, wrestling in Japan and here in the Philippines? Especially what I'm most curious about is like the audience dynamics. So, what was the experience like?
Like the Filipino audience is electric, like they would like come up with these chants. It's like, did somebody plan this chant? It's like, and my friends like, "Oh, off the fly, someone just yells something and somebody like follows along. It's like, and it's like,
Right.
and it's like, sometimes I feel like all I had to do was stand there and they would cheer. It's like yeah, like I was saying to you earlier, I was feeling super nervous. Like I was backstage in FPW and I was pacing around, like going, okay, okay, okay. And then like who was that? Was it Robin? Yeah, Robin was like, why the hell are you nervous? You know, of all people in this waiting room, why are you nervous? You're the one with like 255 matches under your belt. And I'm like, I'm always nervous.
Right.
I'm always nervous. And it's like, this is a new promotion. This is the first time I'm working here, the first time I'm working in this country. I don't know this audience. I am freaking nervous. And they're like,
Right.
calm down. Like, this is going to be the easiest audience you've ever worked in your life. Like, they are easy. They will pop. I promise you, they will pop. I was like, really? Really? Yeah, and I went out there, and it's like, they did. It's like, whoa! And, just like got me, yeah,
Right.
okay. Oh my God, I'm good. I'm good. Haven't done anything yet, and I'm good. It made me
Right,
feel like I
right.
was such a good wrestler.
Well, first of all, you are, and like the moment you came out, I was in the audience. I was screaming my lungs out.
So yeah, I mean, Japanese audience in general are more reserved than that. It's like if I'm gonna be about to do a move, the audience in the Philippines is like going, whoa, whoa.
Right.
And in Japan, I do a big move, bagang, and they go, oh. That's pretty much the
Applause.
audience reaction you get in Japan.
Right,
You know?
right.
I mean, what's it gonna get? Wah, wah, but no chanting, no long drawl. Like there's just something, but there is something about the Filipino audience that is just. I guess it's really, our culture. We're just loud bastards, as a whole.
We
Our
really
country
are.
is loud. So, it also translates in the audience. Loud culture, loud audience.
True,
So it was
true.
great. It
And
was
yeah, well, what a debut. It was one of my favorite matches on the card. You guys went at it and you guys went right before the main event, I believe. So you know that people were waiting to see you guys tear it up. So honored to have seen both of you girls perform. I was obsessed. I was screaming my ass off for every single move, whether it be a clothesline or your para sa impierno drop. Oh, I was so hyped. But yeah, super super happy to have been in the audience for that. And now let me sort of wrap things up with a pretty important question. Over in the States, we are celebrating Asian American and Pacific Islander Month. So we're celebrating, Asian representation and promoting its importance everywhere. So I wanted to ask you, you debuting in the Philippines and you representing the Filipino presence in Ice Ribbon as one of their foreign talents. How important is it for you to represent like that Filipino culture and that Filipino identity in a foreign country like you do right now?
Yeah, well, especially in Japan, I think like depending on what country you're in, Filipinos have a different stereotype, right?
Right.
And unfortunately, sad to say, the stereotype of Filipinos in Japan is not the best. We don't have the best image. And so me being there, it's like, giving them like what your, you know, perception is of what Filipinos are. It's like, you know, I'm trying to like, let them like know, like, we're a different culture than you. Like maybe have these perceptions of how we are. Maybe we're too loud for you people. But then, it's
Right.
like, we're a different culture, but then we're educated and we're here and we live in your country. And we're existing along with everyone. And so it's just, it's just like trying to like break that stereotype of what they think a Filipino
Right.
is, what they think a Filipina is. Like even me, like I experienced some discrimination here and there in the Philippines, in Japan. And so just, to put myself in an industry where there are no Filipinos, and just so, just to show them that, this is what Filipinos can offer. This is what Filipinos can offer to your country and to your life. And then actually
Right,
it's just
right.
nice too, because eventually I got some, some people, some wrestling fans, and actually even some wrestlers. They were like, "Oh, you know what? Like my best friend in high school is half Filipino," and yeah, I just like there's so many Filipinos in Japan that are, it's like they're not the stereotype.
So it's, being Filipino, there are, of course, preconceived notions of what we are as a culture or as an ethnicity. But,
Mhm.
it's our job to represent our culture in the best way that we can. So I'm really happy that there are people like you who are doing, representing the Filipino culture and heritage well and as good as possible over there in Japan.
And
And
even
yeah,
like when I came
super.
to the Philippines, I was trying to take all these videos. Look at life in the Philippines. Look how fun it is in the
Ooh.
Philippines. Look at the Filipino audience. Look how fun the
Right.
audience is, and look at all these fun places you can go and delicious food you can eat. It's just, yeah.
We want more. We always want more. We want more representation, not just in Joshi wrestling, but wrestling in like all over the world, especially in the states. Big platforms for
And also
showcasing.
homegrown. I mean, of course, we there are a lot of like, Filipino wrestlers all over the world. There are a lot of like, wrestlers with
Right,
Filipino
right,
heritage. But also, I also like more homegrown Filipinos.
right,
Who were born and raised in Manila, who speak Tagalog, who grew up in the culture. Because of course, like I'm not saying that they're any less Filipino, because they grew up with a Filipino parent and they feel that they are Filipino. Yes, of course they are Filipino, but then they still don't have that immersion into the culture, into the country like we did.
correct,
Like we grew up in it. We know the Filipino experience of growing up in our own country and then going into another country. And so it's a different breed of Filipinos, and
right,
I don't think we have much of that representation in international wrestling yet. So
right,
that's what I
right.
like more of.
Yeah, I'm right there with you for that agenda and advocacy. But yeah, we are always wanting more. And,
Mhm.
you know, hopefully we will get there one day. We just have to keep pushing forward. But Yappy, thank you so much for your time over here on the Turning Hill podcast. It means so much for me for you to come over here and share all of your
You.
experiences. Thank you. Thank you so much. Arigato gozaimasu. But before I do let you off, would you like to plug in your socials? Where can we follow you? And do you have anything else you'd like to promote? Like Ice Ribbon? Feel free to do
Sure,
so.
let's see. So my Twitter account. So actually in Japan, Twitter is the main gateway where wrestlers connect with fans. So my Twitter account is Yappy, YAPI. And there's the Ice Ribbon English account, which is Ice Ribbon underscore ENG, which I run. And
Right.
I had a wrestler Facebook page, but I abandoned it because Facebook is not widely used in Japan. But then recently, because I appeared in the Philippines, it's being tagged and followed by
Right.
new people. So I started that up again. So I am on Facebook. What was my Facebook account? Was it? Hold on, let me see. Oh, okay. So it's facebook.com username Yappy Party.
Oh, there we go. We love a
There
Yappy
you
who
go.
loves to party.
I am on Instagram, Yappy Tori, and I'm also on TikTok, but it's also barely. I'm too old for TikTok, so I don't do the TikTok dances and TikTok challenges. It's like I
Right.
use TikTok like an old person, so pretty much like
Totally
Instagram.
fine.
And
Right.
if you're interested in watching Ice Ribbon, a nice gateway to Ice Ribbon is our YouTube channel. So on our YouTube channel, there is a membership option called Club Ice Ribbon. It's 1,190 yen a month. So about, let's say, $10 or 500 pesos.
Okay.
And that membership gives you access to our dojo shows, or those are house shows. We run them every Saturday. So you can watch them live, and you can also watch the archives. And then, if that's enough to get you more invested, our big shows are usually on pay per view. And we usually announce the pay per view shows on our Twitter. So
Ooh. There you go. Be sure to follow Yappy and be sure to follow Ice Ribbon on all social medias you can find them on. And yeah, super thank you so much, Yappy, for coming on the show. I hope you enjoyed your time here.
Yeah, very much. Thank you. It was just I told you to shut me up when I talk too long, but you didn't.
I didn't. Listen,
And you
you take
had
all the
one
time you
job.
need.
You had one job to reel me in.
Listen, my job is to get my guests talking. So thank you so much. You were the perfect guest for the show, and it really
Thank
means
you
a lot
very
to me that
much.
you took some time out of your day.
Thanks for saying hi
But
to
yeah,
me at the show after the show. And
of
you gave me a
course.
hug. I remember that.
Yes, yes. Super honored to have met you. But in my case, for the latest news on Turning Heel with Troy Gonzalez, be sure to follow the show on all platforms where you can listen to your favorite podcasts on by checking out my link tree. That's linktr.ee/turning heel podcast. So thank you for all your support, Contribidas. Once again, thank you, Yappy, for coming on the show and gracing us with your wonderful presence. And I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye.